So, hello everybody, and welcome to a video where I'm just gonna round up what we know so far about Diablo 2 Remake. So, the video is basically gonna be based on the insight that the streamer Llama did with the developers of the studio. So, if you haven't watched the stream, it's about 45 minutes long. I highly encourage you. I will leave the link to that in the video as well, but it is also found on the official Diablo channel here on YouTube as well, so you can watch it in its full length. I will also talk a little bit about my own personal findings or my own personal ideas and so on. I'm gonna start with some personal things first, and then I will just kind of round up the 45-minute long stream that Mr. Llama did. I have about 15 to 20 points or so that I can go through, and it's basically just gonna be again a recap of that stream. But let's first start with some personal things. So yesterday when the news went out, I made a poll that was regarding quality of life changes and balance changes. And I'm glad to see that from my own little niche poll, about I think 100 or so people have voted for it by now. A lot of people do seem interested in at least some changes. So we already know that there's going to be like shared stats, there's going to be, you can toggle if you want to pick up gold if you run over it or not. So the developers have already thought about some quality of life changes, and I'm very excited about that. Obviously shared stats is going to be huge, so we don't have to mule and whatnot, but I want to take it even further. Now, I have done videos on the topic I think 2 or 3 times before. I think the last one was from 2019 or something, and back then I also got a lot of good feedback in the comments and whatnot. So if you want even more in-depth what potential balance changes or quality of life changes we should get, you should watch that video. I will also leave that in the description below. But the main part I would maybe mention is something like, this has always been near to my heart. This is just one example: mercenary balancing. I really think that it's boring that only Reaper's Toll and Infinity finds any use. There's really no way to build a character for endgame without either Infinity or Reaper's Toll. Even Insight is not a good endgame best in slot weapon. It's really only good on, say, really intense mana builds like a Hammer Paladin. So it's a bit boring to see that we all end up using a Reaper's Toll on Infinity Mercenary on an Act 2 Might Aura. It's very boring actually when you think about it. There's only really 1 or 2 choices, and this is for like 50 builds that I've done on the channel, where I really do try to experiment with builds and whatnot, but it's always just the best to go with an Act 2 Might Mercenary and just be overpowered with Infinity or Reaper's Toll. So that would be my kind of start, something that I would love to see some balancing around. But leave your thoughts and comments below. What do you think should be balanced? Maybe you think that immunities are annoying in the game. Are there other things that should really just be fixed, such as bugs? Or I saw something like maybe the lying character screen, so it'd be fun to maybe see what grief actually does on your character's screen and whatnot. But there could be so many things that we could mention, and it's really hard for me to kind of condense it all into just this one topic or this video here. I also just want to mention personally that I don't believe they're gonna mess it up that bad compared to Reforged. It's a new studio, and the studio is known for being kind of doing these older projects. Recently they obviously been, I think they were always involved in the Tony Hawk games from the start or so, but they recently remade the Tony Hawk one, and why not believe that they can do something again with a new IP? They seem very passionate and talented about their job after all. So don't believe that you should be too worrying just because it's a completely new studio compared to what Warcraft Reforged was. Another thing I should also mention quickly: always online, no. It seems like you only need to authenticate your game, so you need to prove to the Blizzard servers that you actually bought the game. So it's kind of just an anti-piracy thing, one time only, that you need an internet connection for. After that, you can always play offline single player. Let's hope that's also the truth, because that would be very nice. Personally, I'm not that much into playing offline single player, but I know a ton of people are, and that's what I always hated about Diablo 3 as well, that it didn't have an offline option. Also, I just want to mention a quick thing, something Blizzard maybe should already talk about now. Diablo clone and how stoner the audience are gonna be, and all these sort of server things. Now we know that it's going to be global servers and whatnot, but like there's so many questions about these sort of community things and whatnot, because who knows how the economy and all that sort of things are gonna work. And then I also want to mention another thing that's really dear to my heart, being able to toggle player's aid online in games. It will be so amazing once you maybe have geared up your character, you want to challenge yourself, that you can just increase the difficulty of hell. Because let's be honest, if you just get like basic items, Viper Magic, Spirit Shield, a Shaco and a Sorceress or something, the game already becomes a little bit easy, maybe even too easy, quite fast. So it would be very nice if we could get a player's aid command toggle for online games like you can do on offline. And so let's get into the stream highlights. First I want to talk a little about the art style. They are trying to be very faithful to Diablo 2. They're literally basing models that they found from the original game, even some screenshots from Diablo 1 and art styles and whatnot, trying to really be faithful to what we had in Diablo 2. Also, I want to mention that they have really tried to do something with ambient lights and whatnot. Look, it's gonna be maybe more gritty or maybe more darker in a way that even Diablo 2 isn't. You can definitely see that in something like the catacombs in the trailer and whatnot. The light torches on the walls and whatnot. It looks quite different, and I actually like the art style a lot. Comparatively, it even looks pretty good. I would say it's actually a pretty game. If you said it was coming out in maybe 2012 or something, maybe even later, I would definitely believe you. It's a pretty upgrade. I would think it's actually a good looking game even. In the stream they also talked a little about camera changes. There's not really gonna be that much. The main thing that was highlighted is the zoom feature. So you're gonna be able to zoom in with the scroll wheel. If you use a mouse to zoom into your character. This is pretty cool for those that maybe just want to look out for some transmog or how they change in looks and appearances, or if you actually prefer to play in with a little more zoomed camera point of view. And then a big one for me was kind of the game logic, or how the game is going to talk to the servers because of the breakpoints. So most people know that the game ran, was it 24-25 FPS. So that means that a lot of things like attack speed breakpoints, faster hit recovery breakpoints, all these sort of things, how would it work? Well, apparently there's gonna be no changes. So that 200% faster cast rate Nova Sorceress that I like, for instance, there's not gonna be any gearing changes. You are still gonna aim for the same breakpoints, the same items. That's at least how I understood it. So that's very cool to see, that there's not going to be a huge itemization change due to how the game is now going to work with 60 FPS. Or maybe if we are lucky, it's even going to have uncapped FPS, so you can utilize that 144 or 360 Hz screen that you might be playing this game on when it comes out. Another cool thing is that walking and movements will be a lot more smooth. It's just going to be not necessarily that you're going to feel that you're going to be running fast or anything, but it's just going to be more fluid. So the game is still based on this like 64 grid or whatever. It's still a grid based game, but the walking and movements animations are definitely going to be better, like when you're turning around and whatnot. That was also visibly shown in the trailer. Another thing they also wanted to highlight was how icons kind of had different art styles in the original game in Diablo 2, and they're gonna try to mimic those icons but give them a new kind of feel for 2021, and also maybe change how loot looks on your character based on how icons looks. If we're gonna get improved, armors and whatnot, so your character's maybe gonna look a little bit better wearing a Shaco, who knows? could definitely hope that some of the items are gonna look a little bit better. Another thing that developers wanted to highlight was the remastered cinematics that is gonna be including improved sound fidelity. So in the game they're going to also include surround sound support, ambient and better sound effects. This could be something like rustling trees when you're out in the jungle, or even footsteps. If you're walking in wet areas, your footsteps are maybe gonna sound different. So they're gonna work on sound effects, but it's still gonna be true to the original sounds that we had in Diablo 2. They're just gonna try to modernize some areas. But the remastered cinematics are definitely gonna be very interesting. We already saw that AI upscaling to 4K that some YouTubers did using, neural engines or whatever. It already looked kinda great, the old cinematics, when they went through a software like that. Now they're just gonna remake them even better, completely remastering from frame to frame. That's very cool. And now a big impact one that is definitely gonna be very important for us when we play the game. Spawn rates and difficulty of mobs and drop rates are not changed. This means that you can't just hope to get loot a lot faster. There's gonna be difficulty changes, maybe balance changes to mobs or anything. So yeah, loot is still gonna be loot in Diablo 2. It's gonna be very hard to get those high runes. It's gonna be very hard to get specific items. But yeah, maybe if you get lucky, you might find a Shaco after half a year. Who knows? So now I want to talk a little about the UI and kind of things they're gonna change around the lobby system. So I already mentioned shared stash tab with more tabs. But they also wanted to highlight there's of course gonna be no online, offline, and no non-ladder. So that's just a clear, thing they're gonna do now. Say that it's not gonna be able to kind of move items around like that. But they had been trying to reimagine the UI. So beforehand, that everything was kind of stretched along the screen at the bottom from window to window or from side to side. Now they're gonna try to kind of squeeze it into the middle and make the art style a little better and kind of just give it a more cleaner and modern feel. I hope they're gonna keep like how keybinds and stuff works like we remember it, but I'm sure they won't change too much about that. Another cool thing they do is advanced stat screen. So that could be something like showing the total magic find that you have on gear or gold find. I would also really hope that they try to kind of show what dexterity or strength does to your characters, because a lot of people might not understand that. For instance, strength changes physical damage that you do, or dexterity changes how much block or how much attack rating that you get. I know this seems like you know about it, I know about it, but a lot of people might not know about these things. So I was hoping that there was gonna be some more quality of life, tutorial, help-based sort of things in the new stat screen. But for now, they're just gonna show at least some information that we would normally not be able to see in the game, such as total magic find from gear, without breaking out a calculator or something like that. Another thing they also wanted to highlight was controller support, that they're gonna try to make controllers mimic the feel of mouse and keyboard. This means that stuff like the sorcerer's telekinesis spell, these sort of hard spells like teleport and whatnot, they are gonna try to make it as good as they can based on that mouse and keyboard feel. And I do wish them luck, because there are a lot of spells in Diablo 2 that when you think about it, sit down, how is telekinesis gonna work without a mouse on a controller? I'm very interested in that, and I hope it's gonna be good for console players. And then another very cool thing, well, maybe it's not that interesting for most people, as they also wanted to highlight the developers in the stream, but you are gonna be able to play classic Diablo 2. This means that there's gonna be, just like in the original game, that you can play the game with a character online or offline without Lord of Destruction expansion. But they also wanted to highlight when you buy the game, you're obviously gonna have both Classic and Lord of Destruction in one package. And speaking about the price, if you didn't know it, apparently it's gonna cost 40 euros. Whether that's too much or not, I'm not really sure. I feel that maybe it can be a little high, 40 euros, but that's obviously gonna be the price that they feel comfortable with. Another thing they're also gonna do is, I'm very glad to see this, keep the lobby system as it kinda is, but just improve upon it, maybe some new art style, but they're gonna keep like the chat systems and all these sort of things that we really love, but they're gonna try to just improve upon it. The biggest thing that they mentioned right now is that you're gonna be able to see both normal, nightmare and hell games if you're on a character that has completed hell. This was always so annoying that you had to make a character or keep a character in nightmare or normal difficulty if you wanted to see what normal or nightmare games were up at that time. It was very cumbersome, and I'm happy to see that the developers also realized this, so we can definitely look forward to an improved lobby system on that point. Another thing they also mentioned was legacy leaderboards. That's very cool that you're now gonna be able to go back 5 years from now or whatever and see who got level 99, the first in those leaderboards. Pretty cool that they're now gonna be saved as legacy. And then the last two things is gonna be a little more techie stuff. No expired characters or name issues. This means that you don't have to log in every 90 days to bump your characters. Oh, I'm so happy about that, because I lost a character some time ago, which I ended up remaking on the channel and whatnot. But it's so annoying knowing that because somebody took my name and I forgot to log into that character, I just lost a very valuable character that I had for many years. So that's not gonna be an issue. As well as duplicate names, there's gonna be no issues there. So you can't just so you don't have to worry about reserving a name or anything like that. No naming issues. And then the final cool thing is there's apparently gonna be global servers. This means that both US, EU, Oceanic, Asian realms, whatever, are all gonna be able to play on the same clusters of servers. This should be very good for the community, so it's not split up. Honestly, I would love that for all Blizzard titles, if you have to ask me. I really think it's unfortunate that communities are often split up due to technical limits or worrying about lag IP, ping, whatever. I'm very interested in knowing how that is going to play out, because it's obviously very annoying for, say, current US players that both West and East is split up. That has definitely always been very stupid, because I think, yeah, that just kind of ruins the gameplay feel for social aspects of the game for many old players and whatnot. So yeah, global servers, I'm very happy to hear about that. I'm looking forward to it. But that was pretty much all my thoughts on the roundup of the stream. Again, I'm gonna leave links in the description below, but for now I'm definitely looking forward to more information on balance changes. I would love even maybe going as far as, you know, changing items, how they work, because I think it would also give some new life to the game, even more life. If just a few changes could really spice up the end game, or even just how characters, new builds could be made and whatnot. But we'll see how much the developers have time to make for us that maybe wants to have an even newer experience that we can get with the current plans. But yeah, for now I'm very optimistic, and I hope it's gonna plan out well in the future. So yeah, thank you so much for watching everyone, and have a good one.